The February 24th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals is now in session. Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Arlington Board of Zoning Appeals, which is also known as the BZA. I am Inta Malice, Chair of the Board. The Board is made up of 5 citizens appointed by the Circuit Court. In addition to myself, we have Vice Chair Peter Owen and members Judy Freshman, Paul Melnick, and Portia Clark. Also present is the professional staff, including Stephen Rizzi, coordinator for the BZA, Mark Hamela, zoning technician, Blake Bowen, assistant to the zoning administrator, Cliff Hogan, assistant to the zoning administrator. For the safety of our board members, county staff and applicants, and participating community members, we are in a virtual meeting today and all participants are joining remotely. We are legally authorized to hold this virtual meeting based on the governor's executive orders, legislation adopted by the Virginia General Assembly, and the Arlington County Board's Continuity of Operations Ordinance adopted in March of 2020. We thank you for being here and extend a warm welcome. Before we call our first case, I will share with you some general information about the BZA and some ground rules on how we will conduct virtual meetings. The staff reports for each case on tonight's agenda can be found on the BZA website. Staff has placed a link to the agenda in the chat section of the session. If you have not seen the report for your case, you may wish to review it before your item is called. Staff has also placed a link in the chat for supplemental material received after the reports were prepared. The board's powers are prescribed in the Code of Virginia and set forth in further detail in the county's zoning ordinance adopted by the county board. The Board of Zoning Appeals does not have the power to rezone property or to amend the regulations set forth in the ordinance. That authority rests with the county board. This board does have the authority to do 3 things. 1, we can approve use permits that allow modifications of placement requirements for structures on 1 and 2 family lots where there is no option in the zoning ordinance to allow for such modification. 2, we can grant variances from the specific requirements of the zoning ordinance. And 3, we can decide appeals of the zoning administrator. When approving use permits, the Board of Zoning Appeals may impose conditions that it deems necessary in the public interest, including limiting the duration of the use permit. In order to approve a use permit, the law requires that the board find that the proposal meets certain conditions and that the use permit will not adversely affect the health or safety of persons residing in the neighborhood, will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to property improvements in the neighborhood, and will not be in conflict with the purposes of the master plans and land use and zoning related policies of the county. To do this, the BZA shall consider whether the modification will promote compatibility of development within the surrounding neighborhood, because the structure's overall footprint, size, and placement are similar to structures on properties surrounding the lot in question, and whether the modification will help preserve natural landform, historical features, and/or significant trees and foliage. When granting variances, the burden of proof is on the applicant to prove by preponderance of the evidence that the improvements meet the following criteria. The strict application of the ordinance would unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property, or that granting the variance would alleviate a hardship due to the physical condition relating to the property or improvements thereon at the time of the effective date of the ordinance, or that the granting of the variance would alleviate a hardship by granting a reasonable modification to a property or improvement thereon requested by or on behalf of a person with a disability. And the property for which the variance is being requested was acquired in good faith and any hardship was not created by the applicant. That the variance granted will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and nearby properties in the proximity of the geographic area. That the condition or situation of the property concerned is not so general or reoccurring in nature as to make reasonably practicable the adoption of amendment to the ordinance. that the granting of the variance will not result in a use that is not otherwise permitted on the property or change the zoning classification of the property, and that the relief or remedy obtained through the variance is not available through a special zoning exception process as provided for under the zoning and/or subdivision ordinance. When deciding appeals of the zoning administrator, the board must use its judgment to determine if the administrator was correct. The order of our meeting is as follows. First, cases will be called and a brief staff report and recommendation will be given. Following that, board members will ask any questions of the staff they may have. Next, applicants or their representative will be given an opportunity to make comments to support the application or appeal. Next, all speakers for the items will be called. After we hear from speakers for and against the proposal, the board may permit the applicant a brief opportunity to clarify any points. The board may also ask questions of any speakers, but does not permit and will not condone any cross-examination or direct questioning by others. We have deemed the following time limits for applicants and speakers to be sufficient: 20 minutes for applicants of appeal, 5 minutes for applicants of use permits and variances, 3 minutes for speakers representing organizations, and 2 minutes for those speaking as individuals. After the board has gathered all the information they need and has discussed the case, it will decide the matter by voting on a motion duly made and seconded. A majority is needed to approve any motion. Any appeal from the decision of this board must be made to the circuit court in accordance with state law. After your case of interest is heard, you are welcome to stay for the balance of the session or leave at your convenience. Now I would like to orient everyone to our virtual environment and to cover a few specifics about how this evening's meeting will run. Tonight's meeting is available to stream from the county website via a Microsoft Teams link. There is also a dial-in phone option for those who wish to use it. If board members, presenters, or speakers lose internet connectivity during today's meeting, please reconnect with us by phone. Please keep your phones and devices muted until you are called upon. Turn off any sound to any devices around you to minimize interference. For guests joining us via Teams, please turn off your video feed. Only board members will leave their cameras on. When called upon to speak, please turn on your camera and unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon that is located on your meeting command bar. The moderator does not have the ability to unmute you. If you are dialing in by phone, press *6 to unmute. The meeting chat is active for presenters or board members who need technical assistance only. The meeting chat should not be used for discussion, public comment, questions about agenda items, or requests for more information. All public comments must be shared verbally for the record during the assigned public testimony period. Board members, if you wish to be recognized to speak on an item, please seek recognition verbally as usual, or you may use the raised hand function. In either case, once you have been recognized, you may unmute yourself. All voting today will be taken via roll call. To applicants and public speakers and applicants will be called upon by county staff at an assigned time. Pre-registration to speak at today's meeting was requested. We will accommodate any additional speakers only if time permits. Public comment will take place within the timeframe stated earlier, the same as we would provide at an in-person meeting. During public comment, a speaking timer will be displayed on the screen by staff. If you are dialing in by phone and unable to see the screen, we will provide an audible warning when 30 seconds are remaining. You will be muted when your time has concluded. Lastly, this is a public forum. Today's meeting will be recorded and posted to the county's website. All information associated with today's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to the Freedom of Information Act requirements. This concludes the introductory remarks. Mr. Rizzi, you may call the first item.
The first item is case number V-11621-20-UP-1. As a use permit request by Stephen Tinter on behalf of the owners Caitlin Brock and Christopher Brock to permit a left side setback of 5.1 feet to the wall, 4.6 feet to the eave instead of 8 feet to the wall, 5 feet to the eave as required from the left side property line, and to permit an aggregate side yard setback of 15.1 feet instead of 18 feet as required in the R6 zoning district. Regarding a new two-story rear addition to an existing one-family dwelling in the R6 zoning district on the premise known as 2307 North Burlington Street. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Rissy. Any questions for staff? All right. Is Mr. Tinter here with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you, don't see you.
Are you able to hear me? Okay, great.
Able to hear you. And I see you now.
Okay, great. Yeah, just must be a little bit of a lag. I actually think that the owners are here. I was the applicant just because I have the online portal, but I'm not sure if the Caitlin or Chris wanted to speak on their behalf on the topic here.
Okay.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Chair. So first and foremost, we wanted to thank the board for accommodating the special hearing tonight and for taking time to hear our case. We also wanted to thank Mr. Rissy and the staff for their time assessing our proposal and their recommendation for approval. We have nothing further to add, but we are more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. And please ask away.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions of the applicant? I'm getting some noise and I can't figure out. I'm sure we're all hearing it. Okay, it stopped.
Yep, they muted themselves.
Okay. So I'm sorry for that. It was a little difficult to hear. Any questions for the staff or applicant? Ms. Freshman.
I'm ready for a motion.
Are we ready for a motion? Oh, sounds like it.
I move the Board of Zoning Appeals approve the attached proposed resolution approving use permit V-11621-20-UP1, subject to the conditions listed and with the addition of a 3-year permit.
I'll second.
All right, so it's a new condition number 2.
Yes.
All right. All right. Motion made by Ms. Freshman, seconded by Ms. Clark. Any further discussion? I will call the roll. Mr. Owen?
Aye.
Ms. Freshman?
Aye.
Mr. Melnick?
Aye.
Ms. Clark?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion to grant the use permit passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
this.
You have a little person there too.
Hey, someone wanted to say an extra thank you for the whole process and taking the time because that extra room is for her. So we appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. You all set? Mr. Rissy, will you call the next item?
The next item is case number V-11623-20-UP-1. It is a use permit request by Tim Van Bono on behalf of the owners Megan and Patrick Kennedy to permit a street setback of 20.9 feet to the porch from North Ohio Street instead of 21 feet to the porch as required, to permit a rear setback of 10.1 feet to the rear addition, 8.7 feet to the eave from the rear lot line instead of 25 feet to the wall, 21 feet to the eave as required, and to permit a rear setback of 15 feet to the landing, 9.3 feet to a window well from the rear lot line instead of 21 feet as required, regarding proposed 2-story rear and side additions with front porch to an existing one-family dwelling located in the R6 zoning district on the premise known as 2419 North Ohio Street. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached proposed resolution denying the use permit. 2 alternative resolutions and conditions have been provided should the BZA see fit to approve the application as advertised or with a minimum rear setback of 12.6 feet for the rear encroachments. Please note that there is supplemental material for this case that came in after the application packet was assembled and printed, and we do have additional speakers who have signed up to speak for this item.
Thank you, Mr. Rissy. Any questions, Mr. Owen?
Yes. The additional materials was additional information about owner disclosure, right? Owner disclosure and agency.
I believe the supplemental material for this case was a owner consent statement.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, that's helpful. So I guess my question is about the staff report. This parcel is unusual in 2 ways. One, it's not rectilinear, and the other is that it backs up on a public alley instead of a public street or on other properties, which is more typical in this neighborhood. And I'm wondering if the comparable or the comparisons to the neighborhood for size and placement, how that staff report took those into consideration, or if it did.
My understanding from the staff member who wrote the report is that we really didn't take the alley into consideration. From a zoning standpoint, it doesn't meet the definition of a street, though if it did, it would actually still require a 25-foot setback. But because it isn't a street, we look at it as any other side or rear property line. And so the comparable examples that staff provided were properties that did not find themselves adjacent to an alley, just because most of the properties, even in the surrounding area, aren't adjacent to alley. And if Blake, who wrote the report, has anything else he would like to add, I would certainly invite him to unmute himself and do so if he would like to.
So it sounds like a lot of the comparisons backed up on directly on other properties and not on a street or alleyway. So, right. Okay. That answers my question, but I'd be interested if Blake has anything else to add.
Mr. Bowen, do you want to add anything?
This is Blake. No, I think Steven summarized my thinking on that pretty well. Just that we would view this the same as we would any other side or rear property lines, just because it's not a street right of way.
But it is it a public alley?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions for staff? I wanted to ask about the outlot. Do we know who owns that?
Megan.
Miss Kennedy, would you have the answer to that?
Yes, if you see on the photo, the brick house on Lee Highway, the red brick house, it's their property. It used to be our next door neighbors, and then they don't know when it was portioned to them.
Okay, I think that's 6135 Lee Highway. It's directly behind them, right?
Yes, Madam
Correct.
Chair, that's correct. 6135. Jess and Fernando are the owners of that little lot.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you. If there's no other questions for staff, the applicants, whoever wants to speak on this case, are welcome to add any other comments.
Okay,
yes, Madam Chair.
I'm Tim Van Bono. I was the applicant, but the owners are gonna give their viewpoints and ideas to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And Madam Chair, my name is Patrick Kennedy. My wife Megan is online. I'm actually on travel in Denver, Colorado for temporary assigned duty. So we're separated by distance, but here in spirit together. And I echo the sentiments of the last owners and appreciate the board's ability to have this board specially, and also all the help that Mr. Reese has provided for our case. So with that, just quick background about our family. My wife and I, Megan, we have 4 children: Will, Connor, Charlotte, and Ryan, ages 7, 5, 3, and 9. Our house was built in 1949. We've lived here since 2012. Both Megan and I have lived in Arlington since 2000, and we've established some roots here. Part of the our being a part of this neighborhood is our kids go to school here. I work here. Megan teaches here in Arlington, so we're very familiar with this county. I'm a volunteer coach in Arlington for rec soccer, and that's just a little bit about our little family, growing family, I should say. So why we're here? We're here to request a variance, and we're requesting the board's consideration to approve a 10-foot setback as a part of a hardship based on the irregular trapezoidal shape of our lot. Under Article 18.2 of the ordinance, the legal definition for an irregular residential lot, the shape that's most similar to the trapezoid lot that we have is really not described in the 2020 Arlington ordinance. We feel that we are being penalized because of the shape of the lot and because of the lot is half rectangle, half triangle, but the lot measurements are actually a trapezoid. And this picture does a pretty good description. The red lines, the dotted lines that were in the previous picture, you can kind of see where the front and where the back of the house is. It kind of comes to a point there. I don't know, Mr. Reese, if you could put a cursor on the very point of that. That's the far rear end of the lot. But the actual rear of the lot starts at the side of the house. So it kind of abuts up against the public alley. So that kind of is somewhat irregular, something that I haven't seen in some of the research that we've done. According to the ordinance in Article 3.2.6, for density and dimensional standards, the rear property line is the line most parallel to the front. And if you look at that, there's no parallel there. It's almost perpendicular. What is considered the rear property line. In our case, the line that is considered rear is again more perpendicular to the front of the property line and more representative of really the side of our property than it is the rear. Furthermore, the rear property line meets the left side of the property line at a point. And I mentioned that earlier, but most lots have a rear sliver that has something parallel to the front, which establishes a true rear lot line, and ours just doesn't. And that's partly because of, we're abutting against that public alley. For the hardship request, we would like the board to consider 2 factors based on the residential setback and yard requirement illustration stated in section 18.2 of the Arlington zoning ordinance, titled Irregular Residential Lot Setbacks, under the definition of a lot line. And those 2 considerations are: the property lot resembles more of a triangular lot with unequal sides, permitting 10-foot setbacks, and it permits a rear setback of 10 feet. And secondly, under the current Arlington zoning ordinances, the lot currently is and would be unbuildable if variances were not approved. So with the last 15 seconds that I have, just in summary, we request the board's consideration for this hardship. We intend to build a modest addition, and we hope for the board's approval and consideration for this package. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Does that complete the applicant's presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the applicants? Mr. Owen?
Yeah, Mr. Kennedy, could you give the citation for the irregular sized lot line that you were talking about before?
It's 18.2.
Yes, sir, Mr. Owen. Yeah, and again, I am not a lawyer. I'm not trying to play one. We did do our homework. So the article that I'm referencing is Article 3.2.6 for density and dimensional standards.
And where does it refer to irregular lots?
In the irregular lots, that's in Article 18.2 of the ordinance.
But does 3.2.6 use the word irregular lot?
I don't believe it does. Okay. That establishes the property lines of lots that are most resembling the shape of our lot.
Okay, thank you. Another question while I have the mic. Do you know who owns the alley? Is that public land?
Yes, sir, it is. It's public alley.
Okay.
I will tell you that the alley is pretty dilapidated. Our kids, and combined with some of the other folks that live on Lee Highway, use that alley, for play and riding bikes. Mostly trash cans that back up to that. It's a dead end at the very end of the point there. But we utilize that alley as if it were, a free bike alley for kids to play.
Thank you.
Mr. Melnick?
Okay, so Mr. Kennedy, I had a question just about, so you have the burden of proving that the proposal, and I quote, will promote compatibility of development with the surrounding neighborhood because the overall footprint and placement are similar to the structures on the property surrounding the subject property. And so on the staff report, they have a table where the closest they were able to find in the vicinity was 12.6 feet. It was a rear addition and it was from the rear lot line. And so staff is recommending, no closer than 12.6 feet. And what I'm wondering is, in light of that, what discussions have you had with your builder about the possibility of complying with that, with your plans? Have there been discussions about, in light of the staff report, about trying to comply with the 12.6 feet instead of the plans as submitted on the proposal?
Yes, sir, Mr. Malnick, and I'll let Tim jump in here. But yeah, when we submitted the plans originally, we went back and forth. We resubmitted plans based on the proposed alternative for 12.6, and we redid the plans based on a 12.6 foot setback. So, Tim, anything else to add?
Yeah, on the staff report, I think it's page 49, but it shows the building notched on the back right corner to accommodate the 12.6 foot setback.
Is that, can you give me the document number on that? Is that A07?
1 second, please.
Our staff reports aren't numbered.
No problem. 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just going through it. So 49, it is page, A08, or actually the best one is A07.
Yeah, A07, I see.
Yeah,
so what you've all done is A07 represents a plan that would be acceptable to you?
I'll let the owner speak to that.
It's a plan acceptable based on the staff's recommendation of one of the alternatives.
Okay.
So I guess the way that I would phrase that is we would like the board to consider the 10-foot setback based on a hardship of the shape of the lot. However, if the hardship is not granted, we would definitely consider the 12.6 setback as part of our course of action moving forward.
Okay. And this is a question for your builder. Is the 10.6 option is shown in the one of the plats that's in the early part of the
Yes.
staff report?
Yes.
Okay, so those are the two that we're comparing right now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Just so I can be clear, so I see A07 and it looks like that is the 10-foot setback option.
Well, if you keep, I guess the way they did this, the package, there's another plan set that was submitted. I don't know how you have it numbered, but later on in the materials, it's shown with the 12.5.
Okay.
A07 has the corner notched, and it's showing that the 10-foot setback line is the further line, and the closer line is 12.5 feet.
Correct. Yes.
Do you see that, Mr. Melnick?
So I see the diagonal, what appears to be 10 foot on the diagonal, and that goes to the corner, the outside corner of the kitchen.
Yes.
On A07?
Yeah, A07.
Because I see, do you see two lines, 12.5 and 10.5?
Yeah, the 12.5 touches, and then the 10-foot shown also over to the right of that knot.
So I see a 12.5. I see that with the notch, we're talking about a 12.5-foot setback.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have it on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right, I see. Yeah, so for whatever. Okay, I appreciate you putting that up there.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing because there's multiple plan sets submitted in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see the problem. There's two A07s.
Oh, okay. I'm probably on the wrong one.
You have to go, it's like 1, 2, 3, maybe 6 pages from the back is the A07.
Yes, that's right.
So yeah, there's two sets of drawings in here.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah, now we're on the same page, literally.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Mr. Riss, do you have your hand up?
Yes, Madam Chair. I wasn't sure if it would be helpful to the applicants, but I've pulled up a document that we have available online that refers to a regular residential lot setbacks, and I think visually describes the situation that he was speaking to earlier of irregular shaped lots, and it has some of the references that he was making in the ordinance as well.
Oh, that's very helpful. What's the third one over from the left there? What is that showing?
Triangular lot with unequal side yards, no rear setback.
And why is this lot not that?
Yeah, that looks very similar.
Because a triangle has 3 sides and this lot has 4 sides.
If you were to measure it the same way on this project, would you get a different result?
Yes, if you said that there was no rear line, you would not have a 25-foot rear setback.
Yeah, that was kind of the premise that we went on originally. So it would just be a 10-foot setback on that whole right side.
Patrick,
And you would consider that a side setback?
You would have the street setback, and then you would have the traditional 2 side setbacks, but you
Okay.
would not have the rear. Correct.
Yeah.
And would the 9.3 feet to the window well need relief? Is that also, would that also be supportable?
We wrote the required setback as 21 feet. So if there was no 25-foot setback, if it was a 10-foot setback, a window well would be allowed to encroach as much as 4 feet and could be as close as 6 feet to the property line. So it would not require any approval from the board.
I see. So if this quadrilateral were just the triangular were evaluated as if it were that triangle, they could do this by right, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Malik, do you have more comments? I see your hand is up.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. And I see one of the Kennedys has a hand up. Did they want to add anything, or that would be Patrick Kennedy?
On the precedent, yes, Madam Chair. To answer Mr. Malnick's question on the precedent that was pulled within 1,000 feet of our property, that property most resembles something that is in an irregular shape, but the parallel line, they have a small sliver that makes their rear property line that enables them to have that 25-foot setback. So if you look at this illustration, if you go back to that, Mr. Reese, yep, the triangle, yep, over one with your cursor. That's the precedent that that the staff used for their analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you, Madam Chair, that our property, if you move the cursor to the right, most resembles that irregular shape. However, ours is a trapezoid, and if you'll notice on the plat that the rear line starts at the side of our house, which kind of forms the natural shape of the public alley. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. I think we're all on the same page now. Mr. Rissy? Do you have your hand up? Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, I just wanted to remind you that we do have speakers who have signed up to speak on this item.
All right, let's hear from the speakers. Mr. David Otoric?
Yes, this is David Otoric. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my wife, Susanna, and my comments will be quite brief, actually.
Can you give me your address, please?
Yeah, 6141 Lee Highway. If you look at the aerial photograph, we're the White House, directly across the alley from the Kennedy's backyard.
Okay.
So we've actually submitted a written comment to the board, but I just wanted to follow up here at the hearing. We have reviewed the Kennedy's plans and drawings. As I said, our houses are directly adjacent across the alleyway. My wife and I both agree that their plans for their modification are not detrimental to either the character or the safety of our neighborhood, and especially considering my view of other lots in the neighborhood, which seem to approach their property lines to the same degree that the Kennedy's plans do. We will say, and I have reviewed the county's general land use plan, and I don't, from what I can see, that the Kennedy's plan for their property doesn't, in no way is detrimental to the county's general land use plan. And I say that especially considering the fact that their property is in unusual shape, and also the fact that they don't actually, on the right side of the property and the rear of the property, they don't actually abut another property. They abut the public alley. So in summary, my wife and I both believe that their plan is not only not detrimental to the character of the neighborhood, but it would actually add to the character of the neighborhood. We support their request for the variance. And that's
Thank you, Mr. Artik. All right. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak on this application? And then the discussions with the board. Colleagues, Mr. Owen?
Madam Chair, I think the key factor here to evaluate is whether or not the placement of this addition is similar to the surrounding properties. That's really, I think the other issues are pretty clear. And in my view, for the reasons that the neighbor just articulated, I think the answer is yes, even to the advertised proposal. I think that the table that staff gives us to compare to other properties is a really essential starting point for the analysis, but I don't think it's the appropriate ending point for the analysis. And I think that, we're not analyzing this under hardship, but we're just trying to figure out what configuration of the house, given the configuration of the lot, the alley, the surrounding properties, what placements are compatible with surrounding properties. And I think that the original proposal is, as well as all the other possibilities, they all seem compatible with the surrounding properties and similar to surrounding properties once you take into consideration the relative lot configurations and the alleyway. So I'll vote for approval of any use permit that otherwise has 2 votes.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Ms. Freshman?
Yes, I'm inclined to favor the plans, which have this 12.6 foot measurement. In looking at the drawings, it doesn't seem to diminish the uses at that particular corner on the 3 levels. And I think it's a good compromise given that, while we're not looking at hardship, there are definitely difficulties with this lot. And so I think we do have an alternative resolution which speaks to that setback. And I think, other than the challenge of trying to figure out which pages are relevant in the submission, I think we should proceed.
All right, thank you, Ms. Freshman.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Melnick.
So Ms. Freshman, can you articulate a bit more about, so you're saying you favor the alternative proposal. So what are your main reasons?
Well, I think the request, generally speaking, the request is justified. I might have been persuaded with the original, given the circumstances, but I think that that as a gesture toward trying to follow our parameters as closely as possible, I think the submission for 12.6 feet is a good compromise. And I don't think it diminishes the project in terms of how I can see the uses at the corner, which is being essentially cut off in order to meet that setback requirement.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Madam Chair?
Mr. Melnick.
And I too appreciate when applicants make efforts, to think about and just think about different designs, including that are commensurate with staff's report and what they found. So I do appreciate that. That's extremely helpful. And I'm in line with Ms. Freshman on this too, because, we have the ordinance in front of us. We have what the staff found, and I understand the uniqueness of this, but I'm in line with Ms. Freshman about it being a good compromise. The 12.6 alternative.
Mr. Rissy, do you have your hand up?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just for clarification, it may be easy to refer to the drawings that have the same page number by the date on them. The original version has a date of 12/16/2020, and the revised drawings that show the 12.6 foot compliance setback have a date of 02/09/2021.
That's very helpful.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Owen?
the alternative resolution refers to plans dated, drawings attached to the staff report dated February 19th. So
yeah.
Should we say, so we should say the drawings, including the drawing dated February 4th, 2021?
So it would be the February 24th staff report, and specifically the drawings dated 12/9.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a clarification. So this drawing we're looking at, so the staff report says 12.6 feet, and the drawing says 12.5. And so whether we would just make that, a note, that we're talking about, I mean, it's just a minimal amount, and I'd like to know what the other board members feel about that differentiation, or if that's like a clerical error.
No, I think this says 12.5 feet. And the
Yes,
other says,
so it would be 12 feet 6 inches.
it's the same.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, that has tripped us up before on certain recent projects.
But the resolution says 12.6 feet.
Right.
So that's not 6 inches.
The resolution says, so the advertisement says, oh, that's right. The advertisement says the original. The resolution, oh dear.
All right. So I guess I can't make a motion until I find out if there's 2 other board members that are willing to approve as advertised. So Madam Chair, if you state your opinion, I can offer a resolution.
So am I the only other person here? I'm just trying to clarify. The alternate resolution says 12.6 feet. Mr. Rissy, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, 12.6 feet is consistent with the setback distance that staff found and is in the table in the staff report.
Yes.
But Stephen, is that alternative resolution 2 as opposed to as advertised?
Correct. Alternative proposed resolution 2 would be approval at 12.6 with a rear setback of 12.6 feet and approval for the other items as well.
And also at changing the date of the drawings?
So for clarification, the staff report is dated February 19th because that's the date that we distributed it to you.
Oh, I see. It is the correct date. Yes, that is correct.
Dated February 9th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I got it.
So again, the question is,
Mr. Owen, I am open. I am certainly open to the 12.6 resolution.
okay. And Ms. Clark, does Ms. Clark have a view?
I am open also to the 12.6 resolution too.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like we could all get behind that. So I'm willing to make a motion for that. Well, the problem is, are people willing to get behind 12.5? Because we don't have any drawings for 12.6.
Well, here's the, so I was just doing the math. 0.6 of a foot, right? is a little bit more than half.
Yes,
So
we're down to 1 inch.
right, we're down to
A
1
little over
inch.
an inch and a quarter.
You know, I mean, I guess it would be simpler to, since we have drawings at 12.5, to go with 12.5 rather than to muck up a resolution that gives them the option of going to 12.6 and submitting new drawings.
0.5 is 0.5 not half a foot, which is 6 inches?
It is.
But the staff is only willing to give them 12.6, and the drawings they submitted were for 12.5, which is 6 inches. Staff was only willing to give them 12'7" inches, and they're.
I think we should make a motion that agrees with what we're agreeing to.
All right, so I still don't know if we add up to 3.
So I think the question, my view is that we have a set of drawings at 12.5 feet. So that's 12 foot 6 inches, right?
All right, Madam Chair, I might be able to resolve this with a series of motions being offered.
Go ahead.
So here's my plan. I'm going to offer a series of motions, and they may not get seconded or voted in favor of until we get a majority, but it'll quickly get us to that. So the first motion is, I move that in this case, we approve as advertised the applicant's original proposal to 10 feet.
Is there a second? There being no second, the motion fails.
Okay, now I'm going to move 12.5 feet. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to go to 12.6 feet. So I move that in this case, the Board of Zoning Appeals approve alternative resolution number 2, labeled approval at 12.6 feet, but in fact approve at 12.5 feet with appropriate amendments to the final whereas clause, the first resolve clause, and referencing in the second line, including the drawing dated 2/4/2021. It's a motion for 12.5 rather than the staff recommended or staff alternative 12.6.
Is there a second on that one?
And that's within the February 19th, 2021 staff report.
Madam Chair, so Mr. Owen, did you mean the February 9th plat? Because you said February 4th.
February 9th? Maybe it's my eyes couldn't read it. Yes, February 9th then.
Okay.
The A7 dated February 9th. That's my second motion offered.
Is the net effect 12 feet 6 inches?
That's 12 feet 6 inches, also 12.5 feet. That's my motion.
I'll second.
All right. A motion
Could
made
we include the actual identification of the case?
All right, so just to perfect the motion, I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the proposed attached alternative resolution number 2, labeled approval at 12.6 feet, approving use permit V-1162320-UP-1 with amendments to strike 12.6 and insert 12.5 in each place that term appears, and to add the words including the drawings dated 2/9/2020 or February 9th, 2021 in the second line after the word drawings, and also condition number 4 requiring building permit within 3 years. So that's a clarification of the motion I previously made that was seconded.
I believe also the reference to the staff report date would be 2/19/21.
Yes, but that was already correct.
Okay.
That's the clarified resolution that has been seconded.
Is everyone clear on the motion? I am, but
Sure.
I'd like, if there's no further discussion, I will put it to a vote and call the roll. Mr. Owen?
Aye.
Ms. Freshman?
Aye.
Mr. Melnick?
Aye.
Ms. Clark?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion to grant the use permit, alternative resolution number 2 with the changes outlined, is adopted on a 5-2 vote.
Madam Chair, did you mean a 5-0 vote?
Yes, I did. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair and the board. Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Regret that you had a second meeting to come to, but it all worked out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye. Miracle of Zoom. You don't have to even be in the same state anymore. All right. Mr. Rissy, will you call the next item?
Yes. The next item is case number V-11624-20-UP-2. It is a use permit request by Stephen Tinter on behalf of the owners Theodore and Karen Bloss to permit a street setback of 15 feet to the wall, 13.3 feet to the eave from North Cameron Street instead of 25 feet to the wall, 21 feet to the eave as required, and to permit a rear setback of 8 feet to the wall, 6 feet to the eave from the rear lot line instead of 25 feet to the wall, 8 feet to the eave as required, regarding a new 2-story front side addition on a split zone property in the R5 and R6 zoning districts on the premise known as 1702 North Cameron Street. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Any questions for Mr. Rissy?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Owen?
Mr. Rissy, where's the front lot line for this parcel?
The front lot line is the lot lines that front on the street, that have street frontage. So a front lot line doesn't need to be one segment, it can be multiple segments. And so in this case, the front lot line are all the segments that have street frontage.
Of which there are 2, right?
I believe that's the case, yes. Looking at my diagram here.
And how did you measure the average lot width?
Oh, yeah, this one was fun. So to get the average lot width, there are 2 ways to do the measurement. The easy way is to take the midpoint of the front lot line to the midpoint of the rear line. Then you get the depth of the lot. You divide the area of the lot by the depth. That's the first one. The second way of getting the average width for the property is to take that same line, take the midpoint of that line, draw a line that is perpendicular to it, so 90 degrees to the depth of the lot, and then measure that width. I believe the width that I have in the staff report is of that second variety.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Rissy? Mr. Tinter, are you with us?
Yep, I'm still here, and I believe same as last time. The Blosses are also on here, and I would defer to them to address the board with any of their concerns.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Bloss, are you with us?
We are. Can you hear us and see us?
There you go. Yeah,
all right.
We'll see you now.
Okay. Don't have much to say. Just sort of want to echo what everyone else has said. We really appreciate you, Madam Chair, and members of the board, and Mr. Rissy accommodating this special session, and for taking time out of your nights when it wasn't scheduled to sort of hear our cases. We really appreciate it. And want to thank Mr. Rissy again just for all his help answering my questions about what we were supposed to do and what the steps were and going about it, making sure we answered the questions to the best of our ability. I think we tried to answer all the questions that we got beforehand, but if anything wasn't clear or you want more clarification, we're happy to try to do that. As he said, our lot, much like the previous lot, is a little interestingly shaped, but such is life in Arlington. So that's all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bloss. Any questions for the applicant?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Owen?
I just want to thank the applicants for the supplemental material that they provided. It was really quite helpful. The description of how you reached out to your next door neighbors. We didn't get anything back in writing from them, and so having that write up from you was just very helpful and exactly what we needed. So I wanted to thank you for that extra effort.
Yeah, sure. It just we just didn't feel like we could bother them again. So we thought we would, just sort of let you guys know what had happened, and
yep.
So. Yeah.
The other thing that I'll note, and it's right in the center of this picture, is you have a historic lot line on your property. You're aware of that, I suspect.
Oh yeah.
That cinder block wall in the middle of the photo here, as you know, but as some others here may not know, is the segregation wall, an unfortunate part of Arlington's history. Your property was on what's part of a historically African-American neighborhood, and the houses on the other side of that wall are from what was historically a segregated white neighborhood, and that wall was designed to help reinforce the segregation. So, and that wall was only constructed in 1930, so it's not even 100 years old. So I think that's a pretty interesting reminder of how real and tangible some of Arlington's darker history is in the present day. So that seemed noteworthy to me. It's not part of your application. It's not relevant to our consideration, but it was just striking to be visiting your parcel and reflecting on Arlington's history and seeing the wall. I had never figured out before last week. I was listening to a historic presentation and finally realized I'd been looking for it for a year or two. And I finally realized that it was actually on your property. Even after the first time I had visited for the BZA, I still hadn't realized that this was the place. So just wanted to remark on that. I think it was pretty, an interesting thing to think about in visiting this site. So thank you.
Is that wall a landmark now?
There is a historical marker up by Culpeper Street. So you can see in that picture where the cinder block wall sort of changes into the wood fence that our neighbors put up on the other side. So that's sort of the end of what still exists. And then if you were to go, left up the street towards Culpeper, that's sort of the rest of the cinder block wall in various forms of degradation. And then they have a marker up by the street. They put that up 3 years ago, I think. There was a nice ceremony, actually, that the county did when they put it up, which was really just awesome to be at and to see. So it's I don't know if it's a historical landmark, but it's got a county marker.
It's recognized, yeah.
Yeah, it's recognized.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Owen. That is very important part of our history. So any other questions for the applicant?
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Ms. Freshman.
I move the Board of Zoning Appeals approve the attached proposed resolution approving use permit V-11624-20-UP2, subject to the conditions listed with the additional condition of a 3-year term.
Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
I did, Mr. Owen.
Mr. Owen, thank you. Is there any further discussion?
I just also want to thank staff and the applicant for providing clarification on the outlot, and where the zoning lines were and where the property lines were and who owned the property and all that stuff. That was very helpful.
Okay, I will call the roll. Mr. Owen?
Aye.
Ms. Freshman?
Aye.
Mr. Melnick?
Aye.
Ms. Clark?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion to approve the use permit passes 5-0. The use permit has been granted.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you very much.
take care. Mr. Rissy, will you call the next item?
The next item is case number V-11625-20-UP-1. It is a use permit request by Tim Vanbano on behalf of the owner, Regina Petchke, to permit a setback of 21.4 feet to the wall instead of 25 feet as required from North Madison Street, and a right side setback of 6.5 feet instead of 8 feet as required to the interior property line, regarding one-story side addition and new front porch on an existing one-family dwelling on a corner lot in the R6 zoning district on the premise known as 5954 10th Road North. Staff recommends the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions. And I'd like you to please note that there is supplemental material for this case that came in after the application packet was assembled and printed.
And that supplemental material was a new disclosure statement.
Correct.
That was signed by the owner. Okay, that's, any questions for Mr. Rissy? Mr. Rissy, I have a question. So the setback is a street setback, correct? It's
sorry, go ahead.
it's to permit a street setback. It just says setback, but it is a street setback, correct?
Correct. We have both a street setback here and a side setback as well.
Okay, I was looking at the drawing that shows the porch in a yellow color. Do you know? Do you know the drawing I'm looking at? It's the
yes.
And the 21.4 seems to be between the side of the building to the adjacent lot. Do you see that? And I'm trying to understand what that means.
I'm not entirely sure, Madam Chair.
Okay, may I speak?
Is that
This is Tim
Mr. Vanbano? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that we took the shortest, I guess the least, the smallest measurement from the porch to that would be reflective here.
But it's not to the street. It's to an adjacent property.
Correct. Yes. We did it so I see what you're saying. Yeah. So if we did the angle there, I guess we would need that measurement. You're talking about the 25.5. So is that what you're saying? You would need a measurement to the street from the closest measurement to the street from the porch?
Well, that's what you were asking for. You were asking for a street setback, and I don't know what that number would be.
Yeah, I can. Hold on one second. Let me look at something real quick, please. Yeah, so I'm looking at the other documents, and we had it was the going from to the street setback there. We were at the minimum. The shortest length was at 21. So I guess that line's in the wrong spot. It should be where the 25.5 is. The 21.4.
Mr. Rissy, how do you evaluate this?
I think the report is written, or the advertisement is written such that the assumption is that it is 21.4 feet here, and it's just askew.
I'm sorry, you kind of broke off there.
I believe that the advertisement is written as if the shortest distance from North Madison Street to the proposed addition is 21.4 feet, and it's just labeled askew.
Okay.
And that distance is not is shorter than the distance if it was from one of the yellow corners?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Owen?
I think I might be able to offer some help here. If you look at the drawing labeled A6, you see that 21.4 distance measured in the same place as it is on the plat. But you also see it end at a dotted line that encompasses the whole porch and that is curved. And I think that that dotted line represents a continuous line, all of which is 21.4 feet from the street. I think that's why it's curved and why it's in that location. So I think page A6 shows you where 21.4 feet to the curb is on this, for this front porch.
So are you saying that the arc that's drawn is parallel to the street?
That's what I believe to be the case.
Okay.
Yeah, so excuse me, the 21.4, but that's what they're saying is true. That dashed line is the 21-foot line, which we're actually going 21.4 to that corner.
Oh, yeah, right. It's even labeled 21-foot setback.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
And so you gave yourself 4 extra inches for construction errors.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Rissy, I see the stairs don't all fit within that. Is that a problem, or are the stairs allowed to be further out?
Stairs are allowed to encroach up to 5 feet from any property line, so long as they're more than 30% of the width of the structure.
All right. So it seems to me, Madam Chair, that these drawings would be adequate.
Thank you. So again, we would be adopting the information on the plans A06, provide more clarification than the other sketch that we were looking at. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Rissy? Mr. Valvano, do you want to continue your presentation?
Yes, I was going to let the homeowner just give their input on this. Generally, we felt that it met the consistency in terms of the front porch and the side addition. And she also, based on that, there's a sewer easement in the back, which really eliminated any ability to do any other construction in the back or the left side as well. I don't know if that shows.
Yeah, the easement, yeah, is shown.
Yes, ma'am. And then I think Regina had some things to add as well.
That's Ms. Pecci.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Madam Chair.
Are you with us?
I am, thank you.
I don't see you yet, but I hear
There we
you.
go. What? There we go. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for doing the special session this evening instead of waiting another couple of weeks to find out whether or not I can proceed. I think that what Tim came up with on my difficult lot was a reasonable solution for me and my family to make this addition. And as you can see from the plat, I have a pretty difficult constraint, and I've looked into options on the left side of the house and behind the house to try to make some improvements, like another bathroom. And this was what he came up with, and I hope that it is approved and goes forward, given that there aren't too many other options for me to improve the property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? Do we have anyone that wants to speak on this application? No additional speakers. Anyone here that wishes to speak? All right. Looks like it's with the board. Any other discussion? Questions?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Melnick.
I'd like to make a motion. So I may need to switch devices, so hopefully I'll make it through this motion and vote before having to switch due to battery issues. So in case V1162520 UP1, I move that the Arlington County Board of Zoning Appeals grants the use permit on the attached proposed resolution with the conditions as stated, including the 3-year time period for applying for the building permit.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Melnick, seconded by Ms. Freshman. Any further discussion? I will call the roll. Mr. Owen?
Aye.
Ms. Freshman?
Aye.
Mr. Melnick?
Aye.
Ms. Clark?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Use permit is granted on a 5-0 vote.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right. Good luck with your project.
All
Yep,
right,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Rissy, that appears to complete our agenda. Do you have anything else? Mr. Rissy, did you leave us?
Chair, Madam Chair, I do believe that concludes the agenda.
I'm hearing what I'm hearing, but I'm hearing lots of noises.
Oh, that's me.
That's you, okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Owen?
I know we're waiting for Mr. Melnick to rejoin us. Are you back, Mr. Melnick?
Oh, yeah. So, and like I said before, I hope I'm not cut off. If I am, I'll be right back. So I understand that Mr. Owen is going to be rotating off the Board of Zoning Appeals. He served his 5-year term. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank him for his service. We're very grateful for having him on the board these last 5 years. You know, just his great research abilities, his detail, his studiousness, and his great wordsmithing abilities on the fly for resolutions. So I just wanted to let you know how grateful I am for your service, and I wish you the best. And we'll, so that's what I just wanted to say.
I second. I will personally very much miss you, and I wish you best.
Thank you very much. It has been, a privilege to serve the people of Arlington in this capacity, but it has also been a privilege to work with all of you, as well as Charles. I also very much appreciate Mr. Rissy's patience with me for his for all of his service. He's been very gentle with a lot of inquiries I've made over the years. So I really appreciate his service as well. But I've really found this work very rewarding, and I'm glad that I got to do it for 5 years. And I'm going to miss serving with you all very much.
Madam Chair, so I'd like to add that just with the skills that you demonstrated on the Board of Zoning Appeals, whatever you do next, whatever capacity you serve the community, I'm sure you'll be a great success at it, and we wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Owen, you
I
certainly
do wish you the best, Mr. Owens, and thanks for all your help since I've been on.
Thank you so much, Portia.
Yeah, Mr. Owen, you certainly have, wherever you go, you raise the bar. And you've made us a much more professional organization, and that's a lasting legacy that we hope we can carry on.
Thank you.
Mr. Rissy.
I just want to echo the sentiments of the board members. Mr. Owen, it's been a pleasure serving with you. I really do feel bad that, you know, you have to leave in a virtual capacity. It would have been nice to be able to do something more to recognize your 5 years. I know the last member who rotated off at least got a cake, and I feel bad that we don't get to share a cake in times like these. But yeah, I do appreciate the work that you've done for the community, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate it.
We owe you a cake. We owe you a cake. We'll get one to you.
Have a great night, everyone.
All right. The agenda having been concluded, this meeting is adjourned.